You ever feel like you're just living in this state of perpetual noise? A constant hum of notifications, alerts, and this unspoken pressure that you always have to be connected? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down the powerful forces, economic, psychological, and cultural, that actually got us here. And it all starts with a simple, familiar reflex. I mean, really think about it for a second. You're waiting in line, or maybe there's a little lull in a conversation, and what happens? Your hand just instinctively reaches for your pocket. It's become a reflex for millions of us, this modern twitch we barely even notice anymore. But here's the thing, this is not an accident. It's a symptom of a much, much larger system at play. And this quote from MIT's Sherry Turkle, man, it just paints a picture we've all seen, right? Or maybe even been a part of. It's this quiet tragedy playing out in homes and restaurants everywhere, where a real, genuine human connection is literally being outcompeted by a little glowing screen. So how did this become our default state? Let's dive into the first piece of this puzzle, this modern cultural pressure that's created what we can call the always-on dilemma. This isn't just about our social lives, it's woven deep into our work culture. The lines between our professional time and our personal time, they've pretty much blurred to the point of disappearing, leaving us perpetually tethered to our jobs, feeling like we can never, ever truly disconnect. And the results, well, they're probably familiar to all of us. Work notifications that bleed into our evenings, holidays that get interrupted by that, just one quick email check. And underneath it all, as author Cal Newport has pointed out, there's this low-grade anxiety. It's not just fear of missing out on fun, but a real fear of missing an emergency if we dare to unplug for even a few hours. But this feeling, it isn't just some cultural side effect. Oh no, it is the fuel for a massive economic engine. Because as we're about to see, your attention has become one of the most valuable commodities on Earth. So welcome to the attention economy. In a world with a totally infinite amount of information, the one thing that's truly, absolutely finite is our ability to pay attention to it all. And whenever something is scarce, what happens? It becomes valuable. In this new economy, your focus is the currency. This is a huge shift in how value gets created. You see, in the traditional economy, it was simple. You used money to buy a product. That's it. But in the attention economy, when a service is free, you are not the customer. You are the product being sold to advertisers. You pay with your eyeballs, with your time, and with your focus. Okay, so if your attention is that valuable, you can bet that companies are engineering their products specifically to capture it and to hold it. This isn't happening by chance, it is absolutely happening by design. Now, according to author Nir Eyal, we often get this whole thing backwards. We think we're reaching for our phones because they're just so compelling. But the reality, we're often trying to escape an uncomfortable internal feeling. Technology isn't just pulling us in, it's become our escape hatch from our own discomfort. Just think about that framing for a second. A psychological pacifier. When we feel bored or lonely or stressed, we reach for our phones to soothe that feeling, almost exactly like a baby reaches for a pacifier. It's an incredibly powerful and often unconscious drive. And companies build on this with a framework that's called the hook model. It starts with a trigger, that feeling of boredom. That leads to an action, opening the app. But here's the secret sauce, the variable reward. You don't know what you'll find, a funny video, a message from a friend, or nothing. That unpredictability is what makes slot machines so addictive, and it's what keeps you scrolling. Finally, you make an investment by liking, commenting, or posting, which loads the next trigger and keeps you right there in the loop. So what does this loop actually feel like from the inside? Cal Newport just describes it perfectly. It's not just a bad habit. For a lot of people, it's a moderate behavioral addiction, where the inability to check your phone creates this genuine sense of unease, a real physical discomfort. It's a stymied dopamine response that just feels awful. So, we've got an economic incentive and a psychological mechanism. But there's a third piece to this puzzle, a cultural force that tells us all this frantic activity isn't just normal, it's admirable. Back in the 20th century, status was all about conspicuous consumption, showing off what you owned. A fancy car, a big house. But research now shows that in the 21st century, the ultimate status symbol has become conspicuous busyness. The new brag isn't about what you have, it's about how little time you have. As researcher Sylvia Beleza explains it, saying I'm crazy busy has become this socially acceptable way to signal your own importance. It's a performance, really, that says you are in demand, you're valuable, you're essential. We've actually created a culture that glorifies burnout as a badge of honor. And this is especially true in the workplace, with the rise of what's been called the rapid responder culture. It's a system where your value isn't measured by thoughtful, strategic work, but by the speed of your email replies. Constant motion gets mistaken for progress, and being busy gets mistaken for being productive. So, we're economically incentivized, we are psychologically hooked, and we're culturally encouraged to live in this state of perpetual noise. But what is the actual measurable cost to our brains? Okay, this one is a bombshell. It's a finding from a study at the University of Texas, and get this, it's not about whether your phone is on or if you're getting notifications. Just having your phone visible on your desk, even if it's turned off, is enough to significantly reduce your available cognitive capacity because part of your brain is actively working just to not pick it up. And when we do give in and switch tasks, like for a quick glance at an email, we pay another price. It's called attention residue. For several minutes after you switch back, a piece of your attention is still stuck on the last thing you were doing. This residue fragments your focus and it seriously diminishes your performance on whatever you're actually trying to do. And the cost isn't just cognitive, it is physiological. A Harvard Medical School report found that the blue light from our screens can suppress melatonin. That's the hormone that helps us sleep for up to 90 minutes. That late-night scroll is actively sabotaging our ability to get the restorative rest our brains are desperately crying out for. So, when you lay it all out like that, the economics, the psychology, the culture, the cognitive costs, it can feel pretty bleak. It raises this huge question, is this just our fate now? Are we all just destined to be distracted? But here's a really crucial counterpoint, again from Near Isle. While these forces are incredibly powerful, labeling everyone as addicted can actually be a trap. It can lead to this feeling of helplessness, suggesting the technology is all-powerful and we're just victims. The alternative is to recognize these mechanisms for what they are and reclaim our personal agency. And that brings us right to the final thought. If you really, truly start treating your attention like the scarce and valuable currency it is, what changes? What would you stop paying for? What would you invest in more deeply? The answer to that question? Well, it might just be the first step out of the noise.